Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Very excited today. I have Dave from Summit Environmental Contracts. Dave, how are you doing today?
Doing awesome, Cliff. Awesome.
Love it.
I'm in Southern California. I mean, come on,
Yeah, that's true. The weather's been, a little on and off lately.
right?
Yeah, we got some good rain a couple days ago. That was surprising. I stepped out and not knowing it was raining and just got drenched on.
Oh, I forgot you're in Southern California. Last week
Yeah,
it was what, 85 degrees out for the whole week. So rain out here is short-lived, as you know.
yeah. And whoever's coming in right now in the call, let us know where you're from. We'd love to see that, and let us know if you're an investor or a potential investor. How'd you hear about this webinar? We want to know from every angle where you guys are coming in from. We got Ashley from LA. Hey Ashley, how you doing today? We got Jared from Tucson. Okay, so we got a couple people all over. We'll give it a little bit of time while people are tickling in, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Yeah, Dave, excited for this webinar. I know it's been talked about a good amount. A lot of requests about having this webinar. What are you most excited to share today?
Just the company's ongoing success story. I mean, I've been in this industry. This is, I came right out of college and got involved with the environmental science contracting industry. I think, the opportunities out there right now are at a level we haven't seen before.
Mhm.
And, we see a tremendous potential moving forward. And I think that as we go through the pitch deck, the PowerPoint, I think people are going to see what we're living right now. I mean, we are literally working day and night. I mean, we do a day shift, and then we'll switch over and we'll do a night shift. And presently, we're in 2 locations in California, but both offices are just absolutely slammed. And it's a good problem to have, but we just had a visitor to the office that came in, and she says, "Why do you guys look so stressed out?" And I was trying to, couldn't explain her anything because I was so busy getting ready for this.
Yeah.
But Grace, who you've met many times, was actually trying to explain to her that, it's pretty much nonstop over here.
Yeah.
And it's a healthy environment. Everybody's excited about the opportunities that we have right now. It seems like we're adding new customers and new opportunities every day right now, literally. And that's what excites me. Like I said, I've been an entrepreneur since I was in my 20s,
Mhm.
and now I'm an old guy. So I literally grew up as an entrepreneur in this industry, back and I don't want to overly date myself, but in the 80s, before you were even born, and probably some of the other people on this call were even born. And I work for a company called International Technology. And IT was the first legitimate environmental consulting company in America. And we owned our own landfills in the middle of California. And we had a corporate headquarters in Torrance, and then a satellite office in Irvine. And so that was what I did right out of college. And, I've stayed in the industry ever since. So what am I most excited about? I think that what I'm most excited about is just this business, this industry. We've talked a lot about, investment opportunities and where the future is. And I can't think of a brighter investment opportunity that has more potential than 1, the environment, and 2, infrastructure. So, I'm anxious to share where we're at as a company and where we're going as an industry, and how Summit's been able to rally into that marketplace with the success that we've had in the last literally 10 years, but more so in the last 12 months. And in particular, since we've started this fundraising campaign in the last 2 months. So it's been a pretty wild ride, and I'm extremely excited as the CEO and the owner of the company, but I know my staff is in both offices are equally excited as I am. So yeah, so I know it's a long-winded answer to a simple question, but I mean it's a great situation right now. And I feel like I'm absolutely up for the challenge with respect to uh, fulfilling my role as the primary owner and CEO of the company. They always talk about, whoever makes the less mistakes wins in business. And if your mistakes that you're making are smaller than your successes, then you're going to be successful. Mm-hmm. And having seen pretty much everything that I've seen in the last 30 years, I think I'm perfectly positioned to lead the company to the next level, if you will. So I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. We've done this before. I've actually been fortunate enough to put together a similar business early on in my career, build it up, and then we flipped it to a company that ultimately took it public. And so I've had that opportunity to see the entire process from start to finish in a successful exit, as they say. And that was one, very rewarding, two, very exciting, and three, very educational, if you will. So I know the steps that are required to provide the maximum return on investment for our investment community and the people that believe in what we're doing. Our marketplace is all about, we're primarily focused on building infrastructure. And I know I have a pitch deck to go through, but just to kind of lead into that, our primary focus has been in supporting the infrastructure industry, the modernization of our infrastructure. And yes, there's a huge market, there's a huge bill out there right now, a $1 trillion government funding bill that's out there right now. However, that doesn't define what we're doing. This industry has been exploding for a decade. Mm-hmm. As our transportation system wears out, it's just natural. And as more people show up in our country, it's just natural to expand and modernize our infrastructure. So and Summit has been right in the middle of that for a while now, for many years. And what our primary focus is removing the environmental contaminants from these infrastructure projects so that the workers can safely work. And there's billions of dollars of infrastructure going on every month throughout the country, and in particular in California, where we're focused. And the sources of contamination are prevalent due to prior use of the construction footprint, if you will, mm-hmm. But also a large part of what we do is removing what they call aerial deposited lead. And aerial deposited lead was created by auto emissions from 1920 to 1970. And you may be thinking, well, okay, it hasn't been used in 40 years, 50 years. Unfortunately, lead is not a mobile chemical, so it's settled everywhere. It's settled on every roadway, every freeway, every railroad, every transportation network. So we've removed almost 50,000 tons of aerial deposited lead in the last 3 years. And our mission is to remove 100,000 tons of aerial deposited lead in 2022. So, and we've got the contracts currently to support that, and ultimately we'll get to that slide. But the secondary opportunity there is that, okay, by removing this contamination, we're protecting our groundwater supply and our drinking water supply. We're removing pollution from the communities, which is protecting the families, the children, and our way of life. And then also in conjunction with that, by modernizing the freeways, we're lowering the carbon emissions. So it's very difficult to convey that message on a funding campaign page, if you will. it really needs to be talked through in educational, from an educational standpoint in presentations like this. So, you know, that's the great opportunity that I have today, you know, to convey that message. You know, our positioning as a company and our purpose is to use every single tool, every single resource we have to protect and clean our environment and provide all these secondary, meaningful solutions as we go. And it's a great purpose, and I'm totally committed to the industry, as is our staff, and as are the owners of these properties we're cleaning. You know, as are the contractors that are building out these transportation systems. We do a large amount of cleanup for bike paths, for bridges, railroads, freeways, airports, seaports. All these things are vital to our way of life. You know, we just can't expect to live with the lifestyle that we have in this country without improving things. I mean, the population isn't going to shrink, but if we can convert the number of combustion engine cars to electric cars, and if we can add carpool lanes so that you can have multiple cars traveling, multiple people traveling in a car at the same time, which is also an electric carpool lane. If we can, like I said, if we can add to the bike paths, these are all ongoing projects. I mean, we've done 6 bike path projects in the last 2 years. And you may be thinking, well, why is there contamination on a bike path? The majority of these bike paths are being built alongside railroads. So the entire area that's being constructed is contaminated. So we'll go in there and we'll remove all the contamination so the bike paths can be built. It's a great purpose, you know, it's a great mission statement for Summit. And also, you know, we've created an extremely profitable business while growing the company. You know, we're not doing this for free. You know, we're doing this, we're a for-profit company. And I don't want to come across as being inappropriate, but I mean, that's just what we're in this industry for. So we're actually advancing the transportation system, protecting the communities and families, and protecting our drinking water supply, all in one mission statement. Anyway, I've chatted long enough. You want to go through the pitch?
It's all good. Thank you for that, David. And just a quick disclaimer throughout this webinar, there are going to be some questions I know everyone's going to want to ask around, you know, the financials and the revenue and what we plan to do with the shares. Unfortunately, we can't talk about that, but if you want to learn more, please visit the raise page. It has valuable information. And if you have questions about, you know, the financials and the valuation, please message David personally. More than happy to answer that. Just unfortunately, we can't do it in a public setting like this on a call. So just please have that in mind when everyone's asking questions throughout this webinar. And speaking of the raise page, I am adding the raise page link into the chat box below. And like I said, please visit it. Click that follow button on the raise page and stay up to date with everything Summit. With that being said, I'm going to share my screen and we will go into the campaign video.
Modernizing our transportation system for zero emissions vehicles, low carbon technologies, and environmental construction, from carpool and electric and natural gas lanes to community bike paths and railroad grade separations, one of the key tools we have in our battle against climate change will be fought on our roads. The problem is, infrastructure construction involves removing hazardous waste, and generally, construction contractors lack expertise to solve environmental issues.
Enter Summit Environmental Contractors, We're a full-scale hazardous waste management and environmental contracting company specializing in green infrastructure solutions. With combined expertise in technology, environmental engineering, science, and contracting, we're one of the leaders in the industry stopping pollution and creating sustainable foundations that help us quickly and safely get from A to B. We partner with public agencies and private sector companies to deliver environmentally friendly solutions to complex projects, such as the modernization for the Los Angeles Metropolitan Authority Division 20 station, providing faster service at LA's Union Station and widening the freeway over California's I-5 and the Union Pacific Railroad crossing. Collectively, these projects removed more than 55,000 tons of contaminated and hazardous soils and treatment of 1 million gallons of groundwater.
We can measure our accomplishments just by the good we do for the planet, but the numbers speak for themselves. In the decade since our founding, Summit's leadership team has worked on more than $4 billion of infrastructure projects and consistently increased annual profits. In fact, we saw a 350% increase in annual sales between 2015 and 2020 and brought in revenue of approximately $10 million in the past 3 years. Our teams in San Francisco and Los Angeles work with 6 of the top 10 transportation infrastructure contractors in the US and have signed contracts for more than $7 million currently in the works. And we believe our company will continue to grow due to our unique competitive advantage, which blends science and contracting. Summit provides far greater diversification and resources than our competitors, including environmental consulting, engineering, and contracting services.
Bringing transportation, road, and waste management into the 21st century is an urgent government priority across the country, which is why infrastructure modernization is expected to increase from its current budget of $500 billion in 2020 to reach $1 trillion in 2022. With a stable and growing revenue base, significant market expansion opportunity, and a forward-thinking plan, we believe Summit is positioned for significant growth by providing sustainable solutions for resilient infrastructure and a healthier environment. Invest today. Join us in the fight for our future.
Love the video, looking sharp in that campaign video, Dave.
Thanks.
Cool. Now we can jump straight into the pitch deck. Let me pull that up right here. Share my screen again. Okay. There we go. All right, Dave, take it away.
So this is our opening slide in our pitch deck. Oops. Yeah, you can sit there for a minute. So I briefly went over our mission. You know, our purpose is to provide environmental solutions for infrastructure projects, but our real mission is to do everything possible to create a healthier environment. And we live that mission statement every single day at Summit. Every single action we do, and we're busy on multiple projects day in and day out. I mean, if you look at the last 24 hours of life at Summit Environmental, we were in San Jose working with the Central Valley Transportation Authority. Last night, we started the shift at 10 p.m. and we ended at 5 a.m. this morning, and we removed 250 tons of contaminated soil, aerial deposited lead material. Actually, we removed 350 tons of at a freeway interchange where they're actually adding a lane for carpools for electric vehicles. So we transitioned from there out to Malibu this morning, where we were collecting water samples at the Trancas Creek bridge overcrossing that connects the general public to the beach, so that people can enjoy the beach without worrying about traffic and stopping traffic. And with the water samples we were collecting, we're in a preserve, a natural preserve, and we were checking to make sure the water quality didn't require treatment during the construction of the bridge. So, and then we're sending out a number of bids this morning for various projects throughout the state of California for similar type scopes of work that range from everything from dewatering contaminated soil and treatment to disposal of contaminated and hazardous materials, mostly soil. I think, and I'll get into this a little bit when I talk about our services, but I believe that I think 40% of the material that we're actually removing, we're repurposing at landfills for beneficial reuse. And that's something that separates Summit from the rest of our industry, amongst other things. So the second component of our mission statement is always do the right thing first, maintain a strong sense of safety, sustainability, and profitability. And we're also living that. You know, we've got zero incidences with respect to safety on any of the projects we're working on. And most of our customers, probably 95% of our customers, are public works companies like the MTA, Caltrans, the OCTA. We work with almost every city and municipality in the state of California right now, in addition to some of the biggest contractors nationwide. And like I said, we've got zero issues with respect to safety on any of those projects. You can go to the next slide, please. So I've briefly talked about the problem, you know, the environmental pollution that has to be removed before any infrastructure modernization project can start. And you may wonder where this contamination comes from. And as I mentioned, it's from prior use of that area. You know, we recently completed a project on the Golden State Freeway for Caltrans, and again, they were putting in carpool lanes. But the industrial area adjacent to the freeway, there was 19 properties that had been used in an industrial way. And every single one of those properties we had to evaluate and ultimately remediate. I think we removed almost 40,000 tons of contaminated soil before they could actually build out the freeway. So, and in that case, all that material was repurposed at a local landfill, and they actually used it to bury the material that was brought into the landfill. So in that case, you know, we were actually able to classify the material for reuse. And I get a lot of questions on our campaign page and also emailed to me asking about how we recycle material, and that's a classic use. I mean, 30 to 45,000 tons of material being repurposed for beneficial reuse is a huge component of any landfill, and how we add value to our customers. Instead of taking this thing to a permanent landfill, taking this material to a permanent landfill, we can actually repurpose it and put it to good use. And I briefly talked about the nation's infrastructure being outdated, needing to be modernized. And in doing so, we're dramatically helping reduce the carbon emissions and reduce the carbon footprint, now so in California, but ultimately nationwide. And that's a huge problem. And, you know, without getting too much into global warming and climate change, this is a great purpose. You know, this is a great problem to help solve. You know, lowering carbon emissions, you know, removing toxics or preventing toxics from entering our groundwater supply, and protecting our communities. I mean, it's a real gift to me, and it's a real blessing that we were able to be in an industry that actually provides those services as an end goal. And then as far as the last point on the slide, removing pollution, environmental pollution, you know, and I just talked about this, but the workers can't work out there. Regulations forbid the construction from going on until we clean up the area where the structures are being built. And most of these structures are pretty massive. we were talking about miles of freeway, $500 million railroad construction projects, airport renovations, and those type of projects. So you can go to the next slide, please. So how do we provide the solutions? Well, we work, like I said, we work on all aspects of infrastructure construction. You know, anything that's related to modernizing our infrastructure, we're directly involved with. One of the added values that Summit brings to the table in this industry is that we're a full service consulting and contracting company. So we're able to blend science, technology, engineering, and contracting into the services that we provide. And that's a very unique approach to our industry. And that's how we add, you know, value. That's how we create value as a company. That's how we add value to our customers, by providing a full array of services. So when we go into a project, we look at it as a comprehensive project, not just a remediation project. So we're evaluating the material statistically and looking at options as a step one, step two priority to our customers. One, you know, how can we use this from a beneficial or recycling standpoint, instead of just hauling it to a disposal facility and filling up that landfill? And two, how can we potentially reuse the material on site, either under a structure or somewhere where it won't be in harm's way to the workers, and it won't negatively impact the environment of the drinking water supply. So we're looking at this, and when I get to our team, you guys will understand why we're able to do this. We've got a proven team of professionals that that covers the full spectrum of an environmental science-based contractor. And then the last point on this slide is, by eliminating the source of contamination, we're able to prevent the toxics from migrating into the drinking water supply, create safer communities and lower carbon emissions. And that may sound like a redundant statement that you're going to hear over and over in this pitch, but I mean, these are monumental opportunities that we have as a company, and these are value-added goals that we bring to the table as a for-profit company. And our industry is just blowing up right now. So, you know, it's a win-win-win. You know, we clean the environment, we protect the communities, and we become a profitable, growing business. And I briefly just covered this. You know, we've been busy for 10 years. Now with this new bill passing, it's become an extremely, you know, the government has taken an already successful business industry and created this extremely robust opportunity, more so than we've seen since the beginning of the business. But I want to be clear, we've always been busy. We've always had opportunities out there. This is a recession-proof, COVID-proof industry. There's nothing that stops infrastructure. The only, and I don't want to say there was anything beneficial about the COVID crisis, but the only benefit to us was we didn't have to work nights anymore. We could shift all our attention to day work because there was no traffic on the freeways. But we never slowed down. We never stopped. So some of the projects we work on are freeways, local roads, railroads, airports, bridges, bike paths, and commercial and residential developments. And we see the opportunity has never been greater. So that would be a description of why now. So this is what we we envision as the market size only in California. And we've spent an absorbent amount of time evaluating, what the market size looks like. We've gone through every piece of potential literature related to infrastructure construction in California, including the Engineering News resource, which is a publication it's been around. We had a talk with the rep, and he made it clear to us it's been around for 160 years or something thereabouts, and they are the authoritative source on construction nationwide, if not globally. And it was made clear to us that the California market was in excess of $40 billion annually. We identified greater than 500 prospective businesses in California alone. And then we've also identified 5 target markets. You can see the pie chart there on the right-hand side. So we whittled that down, if you will, to what we see as our specific addressable market at $5 billion annually. And then we felt that we could gain a share of the market at up to 5% in the next 5 years. And I got to watch what I say, because Khalil gave us that little footnote that I can't talk too much about the future. So, but that's how we see it. And that's where we're headed, and we'll get there. We just need a little bit of support, but we feel that that's a great opportunity. I want to be clear on something though. Our target market right now, we're primarily focused only on the contractors. These are the big infrastructure contractors and the government, the blue and the lime green, if you will. That's 46% of the available market. We haven't touched the large consultants, any of the developers, or the industry. That would be the petrochemical industry, the natural gas industry, the industrial industry, and that's a huge market. And right now, we're getting a very small piece of the markets that we're currently in. We're really only limited by how big we can grow the company, how fast we can grow the company, by the number of boots we have on the ground right now. We really believe strongly in our business model, which I'm going to share here momentarily on a upcoming slide. And it's a proven model. So I think the more energy we can put into our sales team, more energy we can put into our business development team, the more opportunities that we're going to have as a company, because the industry's there. The industry is exploding, and it's not going anywhere. So those will be the challenges moving forward for Summit, to expand our reach into these other target markets and to increase our presence with our current customer base, which I think we'll also share in the upcoming slide as well. So I hope that all makes sense. And when I see slides like this, though, I get pretty excited. So. Okay, just briefly, these are the services that we provide. And, as the phrase says, that Summit Environmental Contractors offers full-scale, hands-on hazardous waste management and environmental contracting services. Well, under the hazardous waste management category, I'd like to bring your attention to the 4 elements on the right-hand side before we talk about the first one. So the sampling and waste profiling and site investigation work, the plans, reports, and safety training, and the oversight, testing, and monitoring, as well as our extremely strong, capable GIS data mapping, statistical data evaluation, and the drone surveys and the dewatering, they all play into our primary focus, which is the excavation, transportation, and beneficial use for soil and liquid. And ultimately, the latter four categories define how we handle the first category. And I don't want to get overly complex. I want to keep this a general conversation. But we're proficient in all five of these service-based groups. I would say that we're experts on all five, and bringing that to the table supports, how we can reuse this material and ultimately look at options for maximizing the reuse and recycling of the materials. So, and when we're employed by these companies, by the infrastructure contractors, by the government, and all our other customer base, they look to us to provide this full gamut of opportunities. As I mentioned, we recently finished a job in Malibu. Maybe I didn't mention it, but last week we were working on the removal of some ADL soil on PCH as part of that Trancas Creek Bridge remodel or installation. And they actually hired us to do a drone survey to document the removal process, and they used that as some marketing data that the infrastructure contractor did to promote their own business. And this is a $500 million a year company, and they're hiring us to do drone surveys for them. And they also use the GIS data to document where the material was removed from. So that's a good example of how, our secondary services play into our ultimate goal of removing the material or recycling the material. And this is how we create value as a company. These five components. Most companies in our space only do one or two of these, but as I said, Summit is proficient in all of these categories. So this is our team, if you will. And the beauty of this group of individuals, apart from the Grace and Rachel, who are new to the team, is other than that, myself, Richard, Mr. Gold, Heather, Will, and Renee have all been working together closely for 10 years. And early on, we mentioned that, in the video, we mentioned that we had been working on more than $5 billion in construction projects. Well, this is the team that's been working on those projects. We're extremely close-knit. We understand how each other thinks, and each one of us is an expert in the field. So Richard is a forensic scientist and a PhD, and he's also a professor at a local university and a good friend of mine. He's been with us for, we've been working together for almost 30 years. Dave Gold is our health and safety director, and Dave and I have been working together almost 20 years. And we really rely on him to hone our environmental health and safety documents and how we as a company interact on these projects to keep everybody safe. Heather and I, again, have been together 30 years, and she's proficient in operations, but also in contract review and pretty much any administrative services and pretty much anything else that you need from a business standpoint. Will's in charge of our field services. He's a professional geologist and extremely competent individual. Gracie and Rachel are doing the sales right now, and they're bringing in projects left and right. Super proud of them. And Renee is our statistician and GIS modeling professional, also a professional geologist. And we've been working together for probably 15 years. So extremely tight-knit group, extremely high competency, and it's a great team, and we're not going anywhere. So this is our business model. And without getting too much into each component, I think it's a very concise, very clearly articulated business model that will get us exactly where we need to go. And it ultimately feeds into, and I haven't mentioned this, but the disruptive nature of our services bring 5 standalone components into one cohesive functioning company to provide all the needs that any of these large scale companies that we're working for would ask for on some of the largest infrastructure contracts in the United States. So I mentioned that we were already a successful company prior to this $1 trillion infrastructure bill, but literally since the bill was executed at the I think towards the end of last year, we've seen an amazing uptick in the nature of our business and the opportunities that are out there. The way we typically find projects are digitally and in real time, and when we're trying to focus more on the opportunities from our current customers, while we're in development of new customers, it's pretty heady stuff, and we're definitely understaffed for the opportunity. So hopefully at some point we'll be able to grow into that space and take advantage of the opportunities that are out there right now. How we see ourselves capitalizing on it is, we're going to continue to add to our team with the best advisors, partners and resources from all the way up from the management team all the way down to the field crews. So our focus will always be on creating customer and investor value, and I think that's a worthy goal. And then I mentioned also the disruptive scope of our work, where we're blending science, technology, and environmental construction into one company. Okay, this is the stuff that gets me excited. And if you're an investor in Summit, this should get you excited too. Or if you're a potential investor in Summit, you should get excited by this. So there's a little bit of I don't know what's going on there on the current contract. So it looks like it's overlaid on top of one of the bullet points. But we currently have, that's okay. I can work through that. When we started this this fundraising campaign 2 months ago, we were at about $9 million in current contracts. As of today, with the current contract awards we have and the pending contracts that we're in the process of reviewing for signature, and there's one contract not on here. We're at about 15 to $16 million in backlog contracts. So we've seen tremendous growth in the last even 60 days. And we see, and what these opportunities do is they provide us as the security to continue to press forward with our initiatives to grow the business and scale the company. So when as a company that you've got $15 million in backlog work over the next 12 months, then you can plan accordingly. And this is only what, March, April? So we're only getting started this year. We'll probably add another $5 to $7 to $10 million in contracts in the next 6 months, if not more. So it's not without it's not beyond reality to say we could have $20 million in backlog contract going into the summer months. And that's what gets me excited. And, these contracts are an across the board opportunity from railroad modernization, subway projects, to grade separation projects where they're either taking the railroad and going under the road or over the road, to water treatment systems, to freeway contracts. Just looking at this list, bike paths, a couple of bike paths on there. So this is the future of our business. we've got several master services agreements that we haven't even tapped into yet, where companies have reached out to us and said, hey, we want to create master services agreements with you so that you can be a regular bidder on our projects. And that's exactly where we want to be as a company moving forward. You know, we want to have that, those businesses coming to us because they see the value that we're creating. I don't want to run out of time, so we can keep moving. That'd be great. Okay, these are our top 50 customers, or these are 50 of our top customers, all proven infrastructure contractors. Some of them are, I think we've got 6 of the top 10 infrastructure contractors in the US working with us currently. And, but I think where the challenges are is to gain more opportunity with these companies, because my sense is we're getting 5% of their business. So our goal is to increase that opportunity with these current customers, in addition to adding additional customers, in addition to branching out into those other industries that we haven't even tapped into yet. So that's a pretty heavy order, but I think you can see the value with that. So I'll wrap it up with this statement. So I think that, you know, our current success makes us poised for the future. You know, I can't get into too much of the numbers like Cliff said. However, we're a profitable business. You can see us on the campaign page, you know, what our revenues look like for the last couple of years. And that number, again, without violating any SEC space right now, is going to look completely different. How's that sound? At the end of 2022, in a positive way. You won't even recognize this business at the end of 2022. So, and like I said here, so the federal government has made an already profitable industry even more lucrative. Sorry about that. And the traction that we've built over the last couple of years is definitely taking hold right now. We can see it, you know, we can see the customers coming to us now. And whereas in prior years, we'd have to reach out to them, they're actually reaching out to us. So I know there's going to be some questions that you guys have. So I'm going to cut it off there so we have 10 minutes to so I can answer some questions. Okay.
Let's do it. We have a question from Jared. Any contracts dealing with PFAS contamination of groundwater on and around military bases?
We are currently working with a military base down in Southern California. It's called Camp Pendleton, and we're over on the east side, let's see, west side of the base, and we're getting ready to do a fairly large scale dewatering treatment unit out there, and so that would be probably a direct answer to that question. But we've also got several other dewatering projects, but not directly related to military bases that I can think of. But we're working with the Union Pacific Railroad and the MTA on some fairly large scale, and then obviously Caltrans doing some fairly large scale projects. And we're trying to treat the water so we can remove it as a non-contaminated byproduct, but in some cases we will have to go to the sewer or the storm drain for disposal.
And then aside from funding, what are the top 3 challenges Summit is facing?
Well, that's a great question. So right now, we're trying to keep the quality of the work up, you know. So you're either securing work or you're delivering on the work. And I feel like we can secure the work more readily than we can deliver on the work. So we need to, we're really focused on continuing to deliver an extremely high quality product. It's very intense work. I mean, there's a lot that goes into delivering on an environmental based project. There's a lot of regulations. There's a lot of compliance issues. And so I would say that that would be probably the number one issue that we're facing right now. You know, also inflation is a big deal right now. You know, a lot of these contracts are bid 6 months in arrears, which means that we'll bid a contract, but we won't be able to deliver on it for 6 months. You can imagine the havoc that's creating right now for these current contracts. You know, trying to stay on top of the inflation. We don't really have an option to go back and ask for more money in most cases. So we've got to get extremely creative to stay profitable.
And what is your current burn rate and how would it increase after this round?
Okay, our current burn rate at the current staff with the 2 locations is approximately maybe $50,000 a month. You know, when you factor in the components of a burn rate, that conceivably will double. You know, if we can get the amount of funding that we want to do what we want, you know, that could go up to 100 grand or 120,000 per month. It's still very manageable, but keep in mind that we're self-supporting through our own contributions, as they say. We don't have any outside loans. We don't have any outside financing at the current moment. We don't have any other than the money we've raised on the platform, which hasn't, you know, it's been okay, but hasn't been out of control. You know, we're funding our operations internally. We're a profitable business. So a little bit more than just answer that question.
And, what strategy will you employ to build, deliver, and retain company value?
You know what? I think that to continue to offer, but if we can offer, that's a great question, by the way. I think we need to stay focused on the diversification of our services. You know, the continued effort to combine science, technology, engineering, and contracting into one deliverable product, if you will, I think will set us apart, will create enormous value for Summit and secure our place in this industry as ultimately a front runner.
I have a question. Why crowdfunding?
That's a great question, and I want to answer it as seriously as possible. You know, looking back on it, I have no idea. It was just an opportunity to raise money. You know, we knew if we wanted to get to, you know, the point in the evolution of the business, we weren't going to do it with the profits from the company. So we knew that we were going to have to reach out. I had no idea it would be this labor intensive. I mean, I think we've got a tremendous company and a tremendous opportunity. It's required a lot of work, more so than we thought. But you know, at the end of the day, we wouldn't have changed anything. But we saw it as a potential opportunity to raise funds. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I think we were a little naive, but I think that it's provided us a great opportunity. But also, you know, it got our name out there in a major way. We've had some pretty serious opportunities come our way, not related to funding, through the crowdfunding platforms.
And then how do you position yourself to stay ahead of your competitors?
We have to keep executing our model, you know, our business model. And again, another great question. We need to continue to, you know, keep quality and keep our service commitment to our customers at the forefront of what we do. We can't take for granted the opportunities that have been presented to us in this industry right now. I mean, they're phenomenal. I don't think I would rather be in any other space right now than the environment and infrastructure. And, you know, we need to continue to execute our full array of services in one complete comprehensive package. And we know that nobody's going to be able to keep up with that opportunity because nobody else brings that to the table. But we need to continue to deliver on what our customers want. I mean, at the end of the day, that's our secret sauce, if you will. That's what keeps us ahead of our competition. I mean, you know, price is going to matter, but service is also going to matter.
And what can everyone in this call today do, you know, moving forward to learn more about Summit?
Go to our website. You know, if you want to see what we're doing, you know, it's www.summitendvcon.com. The campaign page has a lot of good content in there. It has a lot more content from a administrative, accounting. It's a full spectrum. You know, qualifying for a crowdfunding campaign these days is very complex. So you can glean a lot from that page from, you know, on what we're doing right now. Email me directly. I'm here. Call me directly. You know, email me and I'll give you my number's on my email. So I'm happy to help. You know, we strongly believe in what we're doing today. You know, we strongly believe in this company and the opportunities that have been presented to us. And you know, I can't think of a better opportunity to invest in a company that's going to provide a tremendous opportunity moving forward for the people that are a part of it. So I would say, if you believe, you know, in the values that we have in our mission statement, you know, check us out and come direct to me with your questions. I've always got time.
Awesome. Thank you, David. I added the StartEngine link one more time into the chat for everyone in this call wanting to learn more. Click that link, follow the page. We update that page on a weekly basis to stay up to date with everything Summit. David, that's all that I have today. Do you have any final words you'd like to mention before we hop off here?
I just want to thank you for moderating such a great opportunity for us. I want to thank the people that did join in, the people that will ultimately see this video down the road. I'm very grateful for the time, and I appreciate the opportunity. So I think that's it.
Well, thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the webinar as much as we did. Like David mentioned, this webinar is recorded and we'll be posting it in a couple days.
Thanks, Cleo.
Have a good one.
Appreciate it. Peace out.